Ladies and gentlemen, get ready to embark on a journey like no other. Welcome to the Glum Lot Podcast,
your go-to destination for a unique blend of recovery and discovery.
I'm Brett.
And I'm Mark. And in this podcast, we will endeavor to create a safe and uplifting space for our guests and listeners to share their stories with sincerity and a touch of humor.
Remember, we are not a Glum Lot. The Glum Lot Podcast is more than just a source of entertainment. It's a beacon of hope, proving that even in the darkest moments, recovery is possible. Every story we share carries the power to inspire positive change.
So buckle up, get ready to listen, and join us in discovering the strength that lies within every individual's journey. This is the Glum Lot Podcast, where humor meets hope.
All right, Brett, we are on episode number 39, and I must apologize in advance. I am under the weather. I have laryngitis, and
He sure does.
it's my birthday.
Well, there goes my whole intro. You son of a gun.
Let's just make it all about you and your intro.
No,
It's supposed
let's
to be
make it all
about
about you and your birthday.
That's right. Now we're talking.
Jeez, I was going to say, today I was just full of gratitude because I realized that you recently celebrated your birthday. And, well, you just ruined that part. But I am still grateful that
And
you're here.
my higher power gifted me a bad case of laryngitis.
Sure did.
So he says, all right, Fleming, have fun with the show.
Speaking of Fleming, you're
Yeah.
Fleming a lot.
Oh, my God. Are you kidding me? That's how I got the name. My people.
Oh, God. It'll be me next.
Oh, how my people have suffered.
I hate to tell you, it's more than laryngitis.
So what's on your mind?
It was actually gratitude.
Oh.
Definitely gratitude.
Boy, that's
today
always a
was a
good
great
thing.
day. And, there's been some trials recently that, life throws at you. And one of the suggestions that I got from somebody was to write a gratitude list.
Yeah.
And, I really do like to recognize people and all those things that I am grateful for. But I think the exercise was good to do.
Yeah. And it's really all about recognizing your perspective in a realistic way,
Yeah, it grounded me.
right? Instead of a egocentric way. Like, I want, what don't I have? Poor me, poor me.
Or I don't have. And
Instead
then
of, this is what I
realizing
do have, and
Yeah.
it's enough.
It is.
not only enough, it's actually pretty goddamn good.
it is bountiful
Bountiful, yes.
It's
Beyond
a
your wildest dreams.
cornucopia
Beyond your wildest dreams, they would say.
of things I can be grateful for.
Yeah. And so if you're feeling down in the dumps, my suggestion is take a few minutes and make a gratitude list. It'll probably change the way you feel.
Yes, absolutely. Just do it. Just get that piece of paper out there, write down and really give it a shot, and you might be a little bit surprised.
And if nothing else, it'll take your mind off your woe is me for a couple minutes and put it more on, I got it pretty good.
Yeah, and it helps me realize, you know what? I'm not drinking today.
And if you have trouble getting in that headspace, ask your higher power for help. It'll probably work for you.
It probably it will work
Yeah.
for you.
So we have a guest today whom I don't think either of us know anything about, which is always my favorite.
Yeah.
His name is Mark, and he comes to us through our booking maestro, Matt Y. And he should be here any minute. So let's welcome Mark. Okay, Mark, welcome to the Glum Lot Podcast. We're very glad to have you here. And let's start with your sobriety date.
Hello, guys. Great to be here. My sobriety date is April 10th, 2018.
Excellent.
Okay. So, you just had an anniversary.
Yeah,
now,
6
didn't you?
years.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
So we're going to go back, and we're going to start with your first experience with the effects of alcohol.
I was 15 years old, and I was working at a park where I grew up, and I helped kids play. I played with kids all day long.
Nice.
And we had a party at the end of the summer. And that was my first encounter with alcohol.
And so what was it?
It was Jenny Cream Ale Draft. And to this day, I still have not drank any Jenny
I
Cream Ale.
imagine not. Yeah, that one's a tough one.
Yeah, it literally left a bad taste in his mouth.
I got
yeah.
it.
And
Did you
out
get-
of my mouth later.
Yeah. Oh, didn't go so well for
Did
you?
not go well.
So what was the feeling like?
I had a great time.
Yeah.
I had fun, and I had to be carried home and carried into the house and put into my bed. And my mother just looked at me and didn't say a word. And I proceeded to get, feel the effects of the alcohol that night.
The spins.
Big time spins. And you think I would have learned my lesson.
We don't.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
But it wasn't off to the races yet at that point.
Okay.
That was, I was pretty good for a long time. I didn't drink much in high school.
Uh-huh.
During the summer, we go camping at a local park.
Nice.
And go swimming and biking and running. I'm a runner. We used to run a lot. And we'd go camping, and we'd stock up on the beer. We'd go buy like 20 cases of OV Splits.
Mm.
And we'd have that all weekend long. But we were responsible.
Please drink
Really?
responsibly.
We were responsible because we got there. We never started drinking until the camp was set up, the tents were pitched, and the wood was chopped.
And nobody drove?
Oh, we all drove. Yeah.
No, I mean after drinking.
Oh, after drinking? No, we didn't drink.
No, they
We were there.
camped.
Once we were there at the site, we stayed there.
So you took care of business so that you could have your time
yeah.
unimpeded.
Sounds pretty normal.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it's
So far,
kinda
so good,
normal.
right?
And, we'd go to concerts at the Carrier Dome, and, when the Carrier Dome was big with concerts.
Mm-hmm.
And, we'd drink afterwards. Never smoked pot. Never got into drugs.
Drugs are not a part of your story.
Not at all.
Okay, so did you develop a real love for the effects of alcohol?
I did. I liked the way it made me feel.
Yeah.
I was the kind of drinker that I got relaxed once I started drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Was
Yeah.
that not your normal state, though?
No, I've always been kind of a not nervous, but serious type of guy. I wanted to
Okay.
take care of stuff.
A lot of energy.
A lot of energy. I wanted to be responsible about things.
So
And
kind of type A?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And,
It helped you be like the
drinking
rest of
helped
the
me.
crowd, right?
Yeah. And I developed a lot of friendships.
Okay.
I made a lot of friends in those 30
As a result
years.
of the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And doing what I do for a living, I made even more friends. And
What do you do for a living?
I sell alcohol.
Oh, well,
Oh,
that's just
yeah.
Well,
snaps
wonderful.
right into
Yeah,
place, doesn't it?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I've been doing that. I've been with my company for 33 years, and I've been selling alcohol for about 25 of those years.
So does that put you out in bars a lot? Bars,
All day, every
restaurants?
day.
Yeah. And so tell us about the progression of your disease.
It started like I said, pretty tame, and I didn't think it was anything serious.
Yeah.
I started with the company that sold alcohol, but I was in the non-alcohol division in the beginning, selling, water and iced tea and things of that nature. And so I'd go into stores, grocery stores, convenience stores, and do that. And the drinking was after work. And it was usually only a couple times a week, Thursday, Friday night maybe. And
Yeah.
maybe
Still somewhat normal.
Yeah.
Still somewhat normal, yeah.
Yeah.
But when I did drink, I drank a lot. I didn't have 2 or 3.
Oh, okay.
I had 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
So when you were going to drink, you got your drink on.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did you think you were going to drink that? Did you have that in your mind already, that
No.
you were going for 10?
No, and that
Aha.
was, in retrospect, should have been the
Sure, you just
the
didn't know it
clue.
then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
didn't
of
know
course.
it. I wasn't aware of alcoholism
Uh-huh.
at the time. Like I said, where I worked, everybody drank.
You're just thirsty.
I was hanging out with the guys that did sell the alcohol. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So did this progress? Did you
yeah.
more days than Thursday, Friday?
Yeah, what happened to help that along, help speed it along, was I got a new gig at work where I started selling alcohol as well as the non-alcohol. So that brought me into the bars and the restaurants as part of my duties.
Mm-hmm.
And a certain coolness.
And
I'm
the
sorry,
coolness.
that's got to be
Yeah,
there.
Mark the beer guy.
Yeah, right?
I was, people still call me that.
Yeah.
And then that progressed to where I had these bars and the restaurants along with the stores, and I would arrange my route where I would take care of the stores first and hit the bars later on in the day.
Okay.
And then so I wasn't drinking at 10 a.m. or noon, but I was saving my favorite bar stops till the end of the day.
So
we're-
what would be a typical stop for you at a bar?
Business?
Yeah, I mean, just the way it went down. Did you
Oh.
go to the bar, talk business, order a drink?
Were you with clients
Yeah.
or going
Oh,
out?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, I was alone.
Yeah, right.
But I would go in and I talked to the bar owners, the bar managers, the restaurant owners and managers, and we discuss what they need for their alcohol needs. I try to sell them new stuff. There's always new stuff. Every week there's something new
Is
coming
drinking a part of this?
up. Not usually, no.
Okay.
But at certain places, it became usual. Like I said, I had my favorite stops. So I wouldn't drink at Joe Blow's restaurant. But when I got to, Frank's Bar or whatever.
You felt comfortable there?
Yeah, I had my friends there. They were there. It was happy hour time, usually 3, 4 o'clock. And my buddies were there, and I got to know not only do I get to know the bar owners and managers and all that, I get to know the staff, the bartenders, the bar backs, the people that work in the kitchen.
Which is actually good for business.
It's great for business.
Right? Yeah.
It's great. So I was doing a great job. I did well. I do well in my job. They haven't fired me in 33 years yet, so I think I'm doing okay.
Yeah, so far so good.
Yeah.
So far so good.
But this results in you drinking more often?
Yeah, so I started drinking more often, and then about 10 years ago, my gig changed even a little bit more, where I went exclusively bars and restaurants. No stores at all. So all day long, I'm in bars and restaurants. And that's when the drinking really took off.
Okay.
Then I started drinking at lunch, and then I started, game on.
So are you driving drunk too?
Yeah, every day.
Yeah. So part of your gig is just get up, get some alcohol, start your day, go to where you got to go, have a drink at each place?
Not each place, but
Close to it?
in the end, close to it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then what about after you get off of work?
well, so I would end the day at my last stop. Orders had to be in by 5 o'clock or whatever at the time, and I wouldn't go home.
Now,
I'd
were
be
there
done
any
with work.
families or relationships here?
Yeah, I was married.
Okay.
We have a son. He's 23 now.
Awesome.
So he was a little kid, back for a lot of this.
So I imagine that's starting to get in the way.
Yeah, I was coming home
And which one's getting in
later
the way?
and later. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Later and later, I was coming home, and I was blaming it on work. I got to work late. These bars are
It's part of the deal.
part of the deal. I need to talk.
All justified.
I need to talk to Joe Blow at the bar, and and I'll bring home pizza and wings, and it's 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
I'm hero.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did all that. Yeah.
So does your wife mention anything during this time like this isn't what I signed up for?
Yeah, I was thinking about it. I think we had 2 or 3, easily 2 serious conversations about it. And each time I promised.
Oh, sure.
I
And
was
you probably meant it.
I did mean it.
Of course you meant it.
I went to the point where I would come home and I didn't drink that day. I'd put an X on the calendar on that day. And I got up to about 2.5 weeks was my longest.
Yeah. On
longest
sheer
stretch.
willpower, right?
Right.
And sure willpower.
And normal people don't do that, but
No.
but we do. And so, did that say to you, is your disease telling you, see, you didn't drink for 2.5 weeks, you don't have a problem?
Yeah.
Yeah, it all
Right,
helps.
put the
right?
calendar up on the wall so everybody could see it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My wife could see it. My son could see
Yeah,
it.
I'll show
Not that
him.
he paid attention, but
So what happens then?
well, eventually, my wife couldn't take it anymore,
Uh-huh.
and she left. That was in 2017, early like January, February, and we had a house nearby, and neither one of us could afford it on our own, so we put it on the market and we sold it, and it sold in October of 2017. And she moved with our son, just not far, just a couple miles away. And
Was this tough on you?
it was tough. I was a wreck.
Yeah.
I was an absolute wreck.
Because reality all of a sudden hit you
Yeah,
right in the
reality.
freaking face.
And I started to harbor a resentment towards my ex-wife, like
course.
blaming her.
Of course.
Not to her face, but in my own mind, I'm blaming her for leaving and blaming her that we have to sell the house, and I put all the burden on me to prep the house to sell and to clean it up and get it ready to put on the market and all that, and it was just a terrible time.
So your life got dark. Did it ever occur to you that this was as a result of your drinking?
I knew I had a problem at that point,
Yeah.
but I still couldn't stop.
Did you think about going for any help at that point?
No.
And I'm imagining it got worse.
It got worse.
Is everything going okay at work still?
I'm doing great at work.
Yeah,
Okay.
see?
Numbers are good. I'm selling everything I need to sell. Everybody's happy with my work, and
That you could be in your element.
I could be in my element. And the thing is, the people at work, my supervisors, managers, they didn't know what was going on, really.
Right.
They didn't know I was hanging out at the bar until 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, and I know that this isn't foreign in either your business or just the business of bars and restaurants in general. That drinking gets out of hand. And our first guest ever, Matt Y., who you know, was kind of in the same boat as you and spent his life in bars selling alcohol. And, yeah, it finally got him, you know. And so with you, you move out, you sell the house, you're still working. Does your life get darker still?
It got darker. Up until that point, I've had a few car accidents.
Mm-hmm.
In a ditch here, in a ditch there.
Any legal problems?
No
from it?
legal problems.
Nice.
By the grace of God, it's
Yeah.
got to be. The officer friendly never drove by at the right time or the
I
wrong
see.
time.
Yeah, the wrong time. So did there come a point at which you really just felt defeated and you wanted to reach out for help?
That came February 2nd of 2018.
Okay. Well, tell us about that.
That was a Friday night.
Uh-huh.
That was a Friday, and it was a snowy Friday. It had been snowing all day.
Mm-hmm.
And I was out until about 10 o'clock
Drinking?
drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And probably had at least 15 beers in me.
Yeah.
And I'm driving home, and I'm about a mile from home, and I ended up in a ditch, in
Yeah.
a snowy ditch, and I can't get out. And I called AAA, but in the meantime,
You should have called AA.
I know, right? I should call double A, not triple
That's
A.
why I started laughing. I was like, that. Anyway.
You should have cut one of those A's out.
Yeah. So anyway, a good Samaritan pulled me out before AAA got there, and put the car across the street. AAA showed up, took the car away. My brother-in-law picked me up because at the time we had sold our house, and I moved in with my sister and her husband.
Mm-hmm.
And they were generous enough to let me live there.
Did they know you were having a problem?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So
My
that was-
sister
yeah.
is an absolute saint.
Had you confided in her previously?
Not really, but that night when I got home after the accident, I walked in and my sister just looked at me and said, "Here, blow in this," and she shoved a breathalyzer in my face.
Jeez.
She had bought a breathalyzer.
I was going to say, did you
That's
just
awesome.
have that
Who
handy?
buys a
Yeah.
breathalyzer?
Right.
Well, thank God, right?
Yeah, so 0.26 later.
Ooh.
Yeah, I was up there. I was up there pretty good. Thankfully, it was her, not officer friendly
Uh-huh.
on that.
Yeah.
So that was my eye opener. That was when I realized I got to do something.
And so, what did she say? You know, do you need to go to rehab? Do you want to go to AA? Do you need?
No, that night I just went to bed,
Uh-huh.
and then the next morning I'm dealing with the car insurance and all that stuff, and we talked about having my other sister and her husband and my brother come over to the house and on Sunday, the next day.
For a kind of
Have a
planned
powwow.
intervention.
Yeah, but it wasn't. They weren't pointing fingers. You got a problem.
Right.
You got to do something.
Right, and you already
weren't
knew
like
that
that.
anyway.
They're just probably like,
You were going to deny it, right?
Yeah, they actually
they're just
what-
probably seeking to understand, right?
Or put a plan of
Yeah.
action into
Well, my
place.
brother-in-law asked me, "Do you think you have a problem?"
Yeah.
Is what he asked me, and I said, "Yes, I do." And then I still didn't go to AA until the following week. I had a snowmobiling trip scheduled with a friend, and
Priorities.
priorities.
Were you drinking on that snowmobile trip?
I did drink on that snowmobile
Did you feel
trip.
kind of bad drinking on that trip?
I did.
Yeah.
I did, and the last thing I would want to do is wreck a snowmobile, being all liquored up. And but anyway, I got through that trip, and I didn't drink for 2 months.
So tell us about your first meeting.
My first
Well,
meeting.
I want to know first, how'd you hear about it?
My brother-in-law.
Okay.
Yeah, they asked me if I had a problem. He's a saint.
Was he in AA or just
No.
knew about it?
No, he knows about it.
Yeah.
He was a big wig in the local fire department,
Okay.
and like a captain, and so he knows a lot of stuff.
So shout out to sister and brother-in-law.
Yeah.
2 saints so far.
Yeah, two
Yeah.
saints. So and I was such a, I was nervous. I didn't know what to do. We looked up meetings, so we went to a meeting nearby, and my sister came with me.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Wow, support.
Did you raise your
Yeah.
hand and say it's my first meeting?
Yeah, and I never went back to that meeting.
How come?
It just seemed really strange. The people.
The vibe
were
was
weird.
not there.
The vibe was really
Okay.
off.
Yeah, I know. There's
happens.
meetings I don't like the vibe at.
Yeah.
I just don't go to them.
Yeah,
They're not for
and
me.
that's totally
Yeah.
fine.
And that
We're
may,
fortunate
that may even
we-
change.
Yeah,
That may
we're
even change
fortunate we've
someday.
got a ton of them.
Yeah, we do.
You know, like
That was
400, I forget what it is, 164 meetings in the area. It's kind of a coincidence with the 164. You'll have to look that one up. But
That was
yeah.
a Monday. It was a
Okay.
Monday night meeting. And so I never went back to that. But 2 days later, I went to a Wednesday night meeting, and that one with my brother-in-law, he came with me to that one. And that one really clicked, I think. Yeah, so, and I went to that one until COVID hit, and the meeting disbanded after that.
Yeah, that was a really rough time in the program, and I know for me, I could not wrap my head around Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
I tried, I just wasn't. It wasn't holding my interest. So I actually held some clandestine underground meetings during that time, where we would sit like 30 feet apart
yeah.
with
Yeah.
masks on.
When I first came in, that was still going on. There
Yeah.
was still these meetings in one of the local churches. The pastor was like, "I'm good with it."
Was that my meeting?
Oh, was that your meeting?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, it was pretty neat.
Yeah, we
But-
held it in a cave underground.
But
Under the dark of
what a
night.
thing, though, right? You're finally you found your group, and all of a sudden it's gone.
Yeah.
Like you found some people you could relate to, and it was all right, and then it was
and I
gone.
went to that meeting, every week.
So
it
did
didn't
you-
become my home group, though.
You got a big book.
Yeah.
Did you start reading it?
Yeah. I
Did
got
you-
a sponsor.
You got a sponsor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, you did all
That's-
the right stuff.
Well, that was 2018 in April. So that summer, I had developed relationships with people,
Yeah.
and I found a guy that would be my sponsor, and we started working at that fall.
What was that like, asking him to be your sponsor? Do you
wasn't-
remember?
It wasn't that bad. I wasn't.
No?
I was a little nervous because I didn't know what to expect.
Right.
Yeah.
But he's a great guy, and we hit it off right away because we had a lot in common. You know. We all have a lot in common when you really look at it.
Yeah.
So it went well, and he's still my sponsor. I still talk to him all the time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, how'd you get through COVID? Did you do the online thing?
I did.
Was
I
it good
did.
for you? It was.
Yeah, it was okay. I really like the in-person meetings better.
Yeah.
I still do some Zoom meetings.
But
Yeah.
check the boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some meetings that I still, because I've met people through these Zoom meetings I never would have met before,
Right, all over the country?
all over the country, all over the world.
Yeah.
I do.
Have you ever
morning
found
meeting
one that's
in Great
really
Britain.
quite different? Have you run into one yet?
Well, yeah, there's one that
I love this.
they start with meditation for 10 minutes. So you enter the meeting, we do a couple
Dare.
readings of steps and all that, and then we go silent for 10 minutes.
Wow.
And then we come back with a speaker for
Okay.
about 10, 15 minutes, and then we discuss.
Nice.
So it's a hybrid.
Yeah.
So-
And that was a Zoom meeting?
That's a Zoom meeting. I still do that one every week.
No
The
kidding.
one I did was it was out in Denver, and I got on there and I dabbled with, because sometimes later at night I get a little squirrely, or it was like 2 a.m. and I'm like, I'm not gonna call, but I knew these things existed all over the world.
Yeah.
But for some reason, this one in Denver, it was a late meeting, and everybody got on, and I saw everybody had some sort of reptile, lizard, amphibian.
Of course.
Oh yeah,
Why
around
not?
their neck
Oh,
and their
come on.
hands, and I was like, "Whoa, this is a beauty here."
Did you say, I'll be right back?
Oh yeah. But it was a fantastic meeting, but it was just their thing, So that was just, I was just curious if you run into any of those types of things. But
Well,
anyway.
there was one Zoom meeting. I don't do it anymore. I did it for quite a while. It was in Ohio. It was based out of Ohio, and there had to be like 80 people in this Zoom meeting every day.
Wow.
And so when it came time to share, you were timed. You had 1 minute,
Sure.
and they were strict about it.
Yeah, anything more than that is bullshit, right? Yeah, it's kind of what people say. Anything more than 3 minutes is bullshit.
But it was like a rapid fire,
Yeah.
And I don't do that one anymore, but I have other things that I do that night now. So
Yeah.
Awesome.
So they got you through.
yeah,
So you start working the steps with a sponsor.
right.
Did everything go? How was your faith at that point?
My faith, I'm glad you brought that up because, I grew up going to church every week.
Uh-huh.
Mom and the kids. My dad left when I was about 4 or 5 years old.
Okay.
So he was out of the picture my whole life. And so Mom took care of everything.
Was there any hints of alcoholism?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say
Yeah.
that my mother was an alcoholic,
Okay.
but she drank.
Yeah.
She drank a lot. She drank every day.
What about your father?
He drank all the time too.
Okay.
But fortunately, it sounds awful for me to say it, but fortunately he wasn't in my life.
Yeah.
Because he beat my mom and he left us. He never paid a dime of child support.
Well, that's, that's a good thing then he wasn't around.
That's right.
Because it would have been a very toxic.
Exactly. I think things might have turned out a lot different.
You were spared that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Mom, the third saint in my life,
Yeah.
my mom, she's passed away now for 25 years or so, but anyway, she brought us to church every week, and I went to church. I still go to church every week. The only time I didn't was in college. For 4 years, I didn't go to church, and but I still do anyway.
So when you came into the program, then steps 2 and 3 was not a big ask for you.
It was because
it was.
It was.
Okay.
Interesting.
Because I was just going to church every week for 45 minutes, and I'm good for the week.
Yeah.
right?
Now they want you to make it part of your entire life.
What I say is I learned how to sit and kneel and stand at the right time.
And be seen at church.
Were you were you raised Catholic?
Yes.
Yeah, we sit, stand, kneel, sit, stand, kneel.
Yeah.
It's kind of what we do.
Yeah. And you know when to do it, and you memorize all the prayers, and that's all I did. I didn't take it home with me.
Mm-hmm.
So when COVID hit, church was closed for a while, and then it reopened, and they made us wear masks and distance and the whole 9 yards, and I started looking for another church outside of the Catholic Church, because then in my mind I'm thinking, I don't like this about them, and then I'm thinking, well, I don't like this or this or this.
So you want a church with a little more freedom? A little more inclusivity?
Yes, and less
dogma?
Less stringent dogma, yeah.
That always bothered me about the Catholic Church, too. And I know for a lot of people it's a great thing. And the traditions and the ritual and everything, people love that stuff.
One of my best friends is diehard Catholic, and I'm not going to argue with him about it.
Yeah, it works for him.
No point, yeah. So you found a different church.
I found a different one, and it opened up my eyes to my Savior. And
what was the difference?
That I could rely on him. I could count on him to be there for me. I never did that before.
Yeah, I've heard people say that when they make that connection, it's because that entity, whatever it might be, does for them what they can't do for themselves.
Right.
And so they do rely on that, and they're happy to, and they find out that it works every time. And I have the same thing. I don't call mine Jesus Christ. I call mine the universe. Chances are it's the same thing. I just don't recognize it as the same thing that you do, but it works. And that's what I love about AA. It's just so open and inclusive to whatever your ideas are. And
I'm glad you said that, because it was AA that spurred all this inside of me.
Yeah.
Without AA, I would have just kept on going on, doing what I was doing.
Yeah.
But AA taught me that this is a spiritual program. There's a spiritual solution to our problem, to our illness. And that's what really got me thinking.
So you went from this like churchianity to more of a Christianity and more of a lifestyle of living in a spiritual headspace where you're thinking about it a lot more and you're recognizing things a lot more.
Yeah.
And you're seeing how things really work. And I always say, for me, that I was not rooted in reality until I came into AA and I did steps 2 and 3. And I was like, oh, this is what reality is. I just didn't recognize it because it wasn't black and white.
Well, I was too busy running it myself.
Yeah, exactly. And so you have to get out of your own way and let the universe work for you. And if you do, it works great. The only problem is you'd think I would do that every single time, and I just don't.
Right.
It's just not in me.
We're human.
Yes.
After all,
perfect.
We're not robots.
Like my higher
We're not
power
God.
knows this guy learns at the speed of pain. He's going to do what he's going to do, and when it gets bad enough, he's going to recognize the reality of the way things really are, and he's going to put this into motion. And then he's going to go, aha, it worked again. Now, next time, I won't do it either. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I guess I'm a good alcoholic.
The good thing is that when those things happen in your life, in my life, things happen. Life goes on. You got disappointments, you got heartaches, you get hurt here, you get hurt there, and
all those things that we kind of were escaping.
Yes.
Yeah,
now we have to deal with them.
That's right.
And how do we deal with them? We surround ourselves with people that understand people in AA, you guys, my home group, my sponsor, my friends in AA, and God.
There you go.
Without that.
And you know what's funny? There are people in AA. Matt, our common friend, Matt, for one.
Yeah.
Matt has, he's coming up on a year. And in his early sobriety, he would make comments and decisions. And I would say, Matt, you are such an alcoholic. And the reason I know that is because you're doing exactly what I did.
Yeah.
And you think exactly like I not only thought, but can still think.
Oh, sure.
We do have this commonality of reacting to things, grandioseness. One of my things is thinking the worst is going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
And so we got to learn to take that inventory, bring in a spiritual component to overcome that. And then life's pretty smooth. We get serenity.
Yeah.
And so it's this combination of fellowship and a design for living that, to me, allows us to reach a point of not even thinking about drinking, not even seeking refuge in any drugs or alcohol, because we're ready to put in the work. And we're ready to go through a little pain.
Do you have an idea of when that obsession kind of went away? Was it fairly early on?
It kind of was, believe it or
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is remarkable considering that, what I do every day, to this day, I'm...
Yeah, and that's kind of a big thing. You really, talk about people, places, and things.
Yeah, all day.
This was your livelihood. And so was there any trepidation about keeping the job for you?
There was, in the beginning, I wondered if I should do something about that. If maybe I should ask my company for a different role. Maybe I should work inside, in the office or warehouse.
Did anyone
or
at work know what you were doing? Okay.
No, and that was never revealed to anybody except my direct supervisor about a year ago.
Wow.
Because it came up in a conversation between he and I that I felt it was time that he knew.
Huh.
Now, when you go into bars now, do they ever say, do you want to drink?
No, not anymore. In the beginning,
Like, do they all know?
just about everybody
people in the
knows.
bars?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just about everybody knows. I'd walk in and there'd be a beer waiting for me.
Yeah.
Of course.
And
And they probably just wanted to make sure you were done.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
At first.
they were being kind.
Yeah.
They in their minds,
You're a normal guy.
I'm a normal guy. They didn't know that I had those 4 or 5 at that bar, but I had 4 or 5
Yeah.
later on, and then
Yeah.
I got home and I had 6 more.
Yeah.
They didn't know that. So I can't blame them, and I don't blame them.
Now, does your ex-wife come into play in this story at all of your sobriety?
Well, yes, because I had to make amends to her. So
Yeah, so your 4th and 5th included her.
yeah. Oh yeah. And to this day, we get along really well.
That's great.
Awesome.
We just went to a concert together with our son.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, Big Bad Voodoo Daddy.
Oh, nice.
And
And so you're on good speaking terms. You
Oh,
have
yeah.
no resentments,
no,
and
No.
she doesn't either.
she doesn't have any resentments that I know of. I think both of us are a little sad how things turned out.
Yeah.
But we've moved on, and we can, like I said, we can be with each other and be okay.
Now, have you sponsored anyone else?
I have not been anybody's sponsor yet.
Do you work with other people that are new or just?
Yeah, like I did a 12-step call
Oh, okay.
not too long ago, just a couple weeks ago.
Was that your first one?
No. It was my first solo one. With a
never
friend.
go alone.
There was 2 of us.
You know, they always say that. Never go alone.
Yeah, I didn't go alone. The 2 of us went to this guy's house.
Okay. What was it like? Like, what happened?
It was more than I thought it was going to be. It was kind of took me by surprise because he was in bad shape.
Was he
Yeah.
drunk when you got there?
Yes.
That's tough.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
You can't really
Yeah.
make a lot of headway with somebody who's
No, but we hung out there for a couple hours
just to let him know.
to talk him down.
Yeah.
And he's now in a rehab facility in Pennsylvania. And
Okay.
so he
On
understands.
the way.
The other thing that I did before COVID with my sponsor is we went to Tully Hill every 3rd Monday. I
Yeah,
think
and
it
that's
was.
the local rehab in our area.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
So a local rehab, we went there every 3rd Monday, and we talked to the patients there. Did our told our story,
Yeah.
and then had a question time.
Yeah, I was just there last Friday. I go to a
Yeah.
Friday night meeting.
Yeah, they have a
sometimes.
meeting there. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've never been to the meeting there, but I've done, like I said, I've done the.
Yeah, it's great, and a lot of people that I know have gone through there, and they've gotten They've gotten good results. I know that statistically, the majority of the people that go to their first rehab don't stick around.
Right.
Statistically.
Right.
But there were people there that were on the third and fourth time around. And so at that point, you're like, all right, I know I got a problem. People without a problem don't go to 4 rehabs. What am I going to do about it? Am I ready to do I want to do something about it? Some people just don't.
Yeah. You have to be ready. Only you know.
Yeah,
when you're
and
ready.
if you're at your 4th rehab and you're just going through the motions, there may not be hope for you.
No.
You know, and you get this opportunity, you've got to seize it. I came in to my first meeting almost 35 years ago, and the rehabs were not in vogue. There weren't a lot of rehabs. I think there was like the Betty Ford Center and Dick Van Dyke had one.
Yeah.
But I went to a meeting, and this is back when people smoked.
Yeah.
And there's ashtrays and all that crap. But at my first meeting, I was so blessed because it was magical. You know, when people started talking, they really just reached me, and I heard my story, and I met my sponsor at that meeting. He became my sponsor that night. I got a big book, and I was thrust right into it, and I didn't get it at first either. I kept going out. For the first 6 months, I just kept going out.
Yeah.
And it
Getting
was people,
drunk
it was people, places, and things.
Yeah.
You know. So this job you have, you kind of got it down now, where
Yeah.
you feel very comfortable selling a product. And to you, it's a product.
It's a product that could be selling pencils or
Right,
you know,
right.
it
And you're
could be
not
selling-
going to imbibe, and this is the way it is. And
Yeah.
not everyone is like you. You know, we are a small percentage of the population. I think about 10%, they say.
Yeah.
You know, I know some people that are in that business, when they get sober, they have to get out. They can't take being in that element.
Do you
Well-
attribute your ability to do that through your step work and your sponsor and stuff?
I attribute it to God.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. With the help of my sponsor
Yeah.
and the step work and AA as a whole. Yeah.
So there's no temptation for you.
I can honestly say there's not.
That's great.
I'm
That
not
is
tempted.
fantastic. I mean, there
What
isn't
they do
for
say,
me.
the
Yeah.
10-step promises. You know, we
Yeah.
will look at alcohol and jump back from it like a flame. You
Yeah.
know, and so you know that's really cool to hear that, because it sounds like you really took it seriously.
Right.
Now, did you ever go back out?
No.
So once you were in,
Yeah.
nice.
April 10th. That was the last time, and that was a one-time thing from early February to April 10th. I didn't drink, but I was out of town at a wedding for my niece, and I didn't even drink at the reception.
Jeez.
I did not, and
You've got some fortitude, sir.
my family was.
Oh, they were keeping an eye on
They
you.
were there with me. They were next to me at all times.
So you had a strong guardrail there.
Yeah, my brother-in-law that I mentioned earlier, he was there.
Yeah.
He was there with me
Because
almost the
boy,
whole night.
weddings with an open bar, that
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
like rejoice.
But you had your
The
support
following
there.
night, we stayed over in Virginia at a friend's house to split the trip up, and we were just up late playing cards, my brother and our friend, and they were drinking, which I didn't have a problem with. But I thought, you know what, I'll just have a few,
Oops.
and I did. I had a few. I had maybe four.
Did your
beers.
brother-in-law say anything?
My brother said, "This is my brother."
Oh, your brother, okay.
He said, "Are you sure? Are you okay?" So he was looking out for me, my big brother. And I said, "I'll be all right." And I drank, like I said, 3-4 beers, went to bed, woke up the next morning, felt fine, but physically fine, but mentally,
Oh,
You felt,
I was a wreck. It totally destroyed me.
yeah.
I
That's
said-
good,
Yeah,
you know. Well, that was a lesson learned, I guess, right?
it was. Yeah,
And so that makes you just a little more desperate to get it, right?
yeah. I knew then that was it. That if I were to allow myself to do that,
Oh, yeah.
then game over.
Right. I hear a lot of
Yeah.
people say,
yeah, we've heard it lots of times.
and I hear people say, I have another drunk in me, but I don't know if I have another recovery in me.
Yeah, yeah.
And there are people we've had on the show that have been out sober for 17 years, went back out for 10 years or whatever, and finally made their way back.
Yeah.
But there's no guarantees, you know. I mean,
It's almost a guarantee, though, that something's going to happen.
Yeah.
It would be very rare to go out and not
Yeah, yeah.
continue on. where
Yeah,
you
and you
left
know
off.
what? People say whenever I talk to somebody, in fact, when I was at the rehab, there was a guy there for his third. I go, so what happened when you got out of here the first 2 times? He goes, stop going to meetings. It's
Uh-huh.
always the
Yeah.
same answer. Stop going to meetings. Stop. And then I had one
And
kid.
I thought I could do it.
Right, I thought it was
I thought I
good.
could be like other people.
Yeah.
And there was one kid who was like, I don't know
earned it.
what I'm doing wrong. I just got out of here 6 months ago, and now I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I go, what does your sponsor say? He said, I don't have a sponsor. I go, that would be the first thing I would look at.
Yeah.
You know, because if you don't have a sponsor, you're probably not going to go to a lot of meetings.
Right.
Because your sponsor's not going to be telling you, dude, 1 a week's not going to cut it for you.
No.
Maybe later in life, I don't know. But right now,
Yeah.
you know, what does Scotty always say? Two to three meetings a day for 10 years and you'll be fine?
Yeah. 3 to 5, I think he says, actually. Yeah, I think he says 3 to 5. But
Yeah. So, did you ever get into any service work?
Well, in AA,
Yeah.
no, I haven't. Outside of the rehab center that I went to every
Yeah.
third Monday, that was a very good thing.
That is
Oh, yeah.
that's good service
yeah.
work.
Sure it is.
Do you have a home group?
I do. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Nearby from here. Not
Do
far
you
from
help
here.
set it up, make coffee? Do you hang
Yeah,
out?
yeah, we trade.
That's all
we-
service
we-
work.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
So
Yeah,
you
okay,
sounds to me
got
like you're doing
You
more
got me.
service work
Yeah,
than
yeah.
I am.
Yeah. We open it up. We rotate who opens and who makes coffee and all that
that's
stuff.
service
so,
work.
That's
yeah.
service work, bro.
That's great.
You show up.
Yeah.
Show up, suit up. And how many meetings a week do you do on average, do you think?
Well, I do at least one every day, believe it or not, because of Zoom.
Oh, nice.
So I'll wake up in the morning and there's a Zoom meeting in the United Kingdom
Nice.
at 7 a.m. our time. It's
Yeah.
noon their time.
And you know, I know we speak the same language, but I can't understand those people.
There's a couple people
Hello,
that
jolly good. I'm like, what?
I love your impressions.
And so, for all you listeners out, because you do have listeners in the UK.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm so glad that AA spread throughout the world. I was just listening to the recorded Big Book, and they were talking about the first 100 and how it started and all that in Akron, and then the first groups in New York, and it's just phenomenal how
And
in
let's-
under 100 years.
And let's think about when it really started. There was no communication like
There's
we
no
have
internet.
today. There's no social media.
There aren't even a lot of phones,
This
really.
is word of mouth.
payphones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my grandmother had a party line phone with three other
Right.
people.
Yeah, so that that shows the power of it and how bad people were struggling at that time for
Yeah.
it to have such a revolution like that.
Well, you know, back then, and you know, you'll hear this in the Big Book. The only people that had any success were people that had what they called found religion. So there was
Yeah.
a spiritual component that could work with the
Absolutely.
Oxford group,
Absolutely.
and that's where the steps came from.
Yeah.
And for these two goofballs to recognize that is such a gift. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? These two alcoholics. And if you hear Bill Wilson, if you read what he writes and you see him in interviews sometimes, he's so one of us. I mean, he is, you know,
without a doubt.
Yeah.
he's we're just like him. He's just like us, and it's, you know.
But they make no bones about it.
Yeah.
It's a spiritual solution to this.
Yes.
Yeah.
So going forward,
What's life like now?
Well, life is pretty good. I have a great relationship with my son. Like I said, my ex-wife and I get along pretty well. I have a lot of friends. I've always had a lot of friends. I've been blessed in my life with a lot
Yeah.
of friends, all through high school and college and after. And AA is just brought so many more people into my life that I count as truly good friends that would do anything for me, for anybody.
yeah, when I was out in the bars, I had acquaintances.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And
yeah.
they were willing to do anything for you, weren't they?
They were willing to
No.
buy you a beer.
No.
They were willing to have me
That's
buy
right.
them a beer.
That's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, then you get into AA and you start. I remember, you know, early on, just thinking, when are these people going to drop the frickin', you know, drop this on me? That what I really got to do in this cult is, you know, sign away my property, because they're just willing to help me. They don't know me.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was just struck me
And
as
it's
so foreign.
Foreign to compared to what we experience in the real world.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's so foreign. Where are you finding that? You know, it's crazy.
And then we get to the other side of it. We get sober. We totally get it.
Oh,
This is
oh,
how
yeah.
we stay sober.
Oh, yeah.
And we jump at the chance to help someone else.
Yeah.
You know, we know we're doing the work of AA and the work of our higher power, you know, and that
Yeah.
it can happen.
Well, after my home group meeting Tuesday night, from 7:30 to 8:30, there was a meeting after the meeting, right?
Yeah.
And that was
best
an hour.
part.
That was an hour and a half long. So I didn't get home till almost 10:30. But most of the conversation between my friend and I was around God, was around spirituality and what that means to us now.
Yeah, I didn't have a lot of those conversations sitting on a bar stool.
No.
Oh, no. I sure did when I was hanging over the side of the bed, though.
Right.
God, please.
Frank the porcelain
make this
god.
stop. But, no,
Yeah.
that's cool because, it is a shift that we have, right? And that's what that spiritual experience is. Not necessarily a religious experience, but it's a spiritual experience.
Spiritual, right.
A complete shift of our normal thought. Something was the catalyst for that.
Yeah.
And for you, that was your higher power. And that's very cool. And that's how it works, isn't it?
It is.
It is.
Well, we are at the end of our time, Mark. We're so glad you came in, and we loved having
Thanks
you on
so
the
much.
Glum Lot Podcast. This will go out to the world, and until next time, I'm Mark.
I'm Brett.
And I'm Mark.
As we wrap up another episode of the Glum Lot Podcast, we want to extend our heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you who tuned in today. Navigating the path to recovery from alcohol and other substances is a journey filled with challenges, triumphs, and self-discovery. Remember, we're not affiliated with Alcoholics Anonymous, but we're here to provide a safe space for open conversations about the complexities of recovery. Your stories, courage, and resilience inspire us and our listeners alike. If you or someone you know is on the transformative journey, know that you're not alone. Join us next time as we continue to explore the diverse facets of recovery. Until then, stay strong, stay connected, and remember that each day is a step towards a brighter, sober tomorrow. Thank you for being part of the Glum Lot community.